People, what's up? How about that, eh? 4 Seahawks wins in a row, which means I don't have to write at all. Like that W, I haven't had to redraw it in four
Just leave it
weeks.
up there. Nice.
Yeah, I just leave it up there. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Griff, how are you?
Feeling good. That was an interesting game, but we don't want to jump right into it because we're preambling, aren't we?
We are preambling. We are. The press conferences are finished. Those were less interesting. What are we preambling about though?
I don't know. There's a lot going on in the world.
Oh yeah, let's not
But I
talk
don't know
about
if
that.
we want to. Maddie, what's your favorite topic of the ancient world of antiquity, of the ancient period? Are you one of those guys that sits around thinking about the Roman Empire,
No,
the ancient Greece, ancient Persian Empire,
no,
Carthage?
no.
Are you more of
I'm
a
a modern historian.
Are you more of a Bronze Age guy?
No, I'm a modern historian.
Okay, so the more the modern era. So what's your favorite topic? Well, so the modern era is defined from what? The Enlightenment period on?
1700 onwards.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the modern era? Or rather what's the most fascinating? Because when we say favorite, it makes it sound like when people say they love the Roman Empire, like the Roman Empire is pretty terrible. They're they're fascinated by it. Like I'm fascinated by the Roman Empire. I don't like the Roman Empire. Two very different things. What's the most fascinating period of the early modern era for you?
Yugoslavia,
Okay.
but not early modern period.
All right.
Well, just Yugoslavia in general.
Okay, because that's quite the melting pot of cultures and conflicts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
We'll go on. Unpack that. We're preambling, baby. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I think you did really well just then in how you summarized it.
Are you trying not to start another Balkan crisis with what you might say? Is that why you're being so
You could
diplomatic?
say that there is still a crisis there.
Could you?
Facts. If Yugoslavia still existed, the USA wouldn't be winning gold in Olympic basketball every year. Facts.
Do they
And
love
they'd probably win a World Cup in soccer as well.
And do you think that's is that like cultural construction? Like why do they produce so many basketball players per capita in that region of the world?
Yeah, it was infrastructure, I think.
Yeah, which is always
Yeah.
what it is, but that's always fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
but Jumbo with a great point.
There's a question here. Zach saying, did the Seahawks press conference go away and turn into a private video? Yeah, they do that so they can
Yeah.
edit it, Zach. But what you need to do is go on the Seahawks Twitter account where they live stream it, and you can rewatch the live stream. They leave that up for ages. So just find the tweet where they tweeted out the presser, and you'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Germany's really interesting historically, Driv.
Oh yeah, because Germany never knows what it wants to be, right? There's just it's so much it's so decentralized, right?
Right, right.
Um, you're giving me nothing, man. Come on.
I know. I don't know. I need a cup. I've got a cup of tea tonight.
Hmm.
Not
All right, how about
sure
this?
how.
How about this? What's the most underrated or under discussed, maybe in pop culture, because I'm sure in academia it isn't, but what's the most under discussed period of the modern era history?
Well, probably something that one of the victors did in a very bad way, like the Sykes-Picot Agreement.
Okay, go on.
No, we don't need to get into the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Do you want to
Okay.
get into the Sykes-Picot Agreement?
Sure, yeah.
It was just the British being bad, drawing
Yeah,
lines on a map, and then causing like all of the problems in the Middle East.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not good. That's very bad.
no,
With after the fall of the Ottomans, right?
yeah.
Interesting. The
And basically, yeah, anytime that British draw lines on maps
It
and just
doesn't
make
end.
up places without like really recognizing or bothering to pay attention to certain things, like cultural differences, identity,
Yeah,
what the consequences might be.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
Thanks, man.
Okay, Maddie, that was a great preamble. I
Yeah,
really
I'm
think.
sorry.
No.
I actually have a preamble topic.
Okay, by all means.
So, did you see that little jerk on ESPN?
That little jerk on ESPN.
You know.
Is that what we're calling Kyler? I think the game was on Fox.
No. It was on Saturday. He looks like a boy, but he is a man.
No, I didn't hear about this.
And we're not talking about we're not talking about Ben Solak, our friend.
Come on.
The
now.
other one.
I'm not following. I'm sorry. I don't feel very perceptive right now.
You didn't see Timothy.
Chalamet. Oh yeah. He did good, didn't he? He did well.
I hate him.
What you've told me now? You've said this before, Matt. Are you sure this isn't envy?
Possibly, because I can look quite youthful at times. Yeah, maybe.
You have that, like, you and Timothy have that kind of youthful look that is sought after, though.
You think I'm sought after in a similar way to Timothy?
Yeah, sure.
That's.
I mean, look, you decided to go down the path of being, a football coach and early
being
modern
sleep
era
deprived.
historian.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to go down the path of acting, I mean, we've talked about this before. You bear resemblance to Ewan McGregor and all that, like early, like train spotting Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor on heroin
without the crippling addiction and
smack
professional path there that he took in that movie. That's right. Tom Holland is British. Matty represents the Tom Holland British boy, naturally opposes the Chalamet type. So you two are on the opposite ends of that sought after youthful spectrum of hit it, Matty. No, did you want to talk more about Timothy Chalamet on?
No, I'm just upset about it.
Look, do you think he was prepped, or do you think that's original to his own thoughts?
I think he's prepped. I think he's inauthentic, and I think he is a vessel for Hollywood. It's disgusting.
Look, he is for real a basketball fan, though. We know that much. I don't know if he's really paying attention to Ohio University or whatever in Miami, Ohio. Like, I don't think he's actually paying attention to any of that. But he might tune into the bigger games.
I think he needs to shut up and act.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is really personal for you.
I know. Right? Should we? Yeah. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seattle Seahawks have won their fourth game in a row. It was a dominant victory, 2-score victory, 30-18 at the Arizona Cardinals. It was a must-win in a sense that their playoff odds would plummet. Their playoff odds now are, I think, nearly 70%. That was per FTN's projections. And so, Griff, 8-5, first place in the NFC West. Clean sweep over Arizona. How are you feeling?
You're feeling as good as you can feel right now, especially with where they were after the Rams loss. The trajectory of the team felt very uncertain, felt bad, and they're on a little win streak right now. And they've like, it really feels like each week they're kind of crescendoing towards something. Well, the Jets game was a little weird, right? But they've kind of rebounded a little bit. Mm-hmm. As of right now, the division is theirs. I mean, in the literal sense, they lead the division. But further, like, just looking at each team's respective state, like, now it feels like the Cardinals have been vanquished. And now it seems like the Rams are the real enemy right now. With I think they're a game back, and both teams might go into week 7 or week 18 with an equal record, and then the division of the playoffs might come down to that. Hopefully, they have a game up on them, but
Yeah, because the Rams have a slightly easier schedule, right? They're at 49ers, which is never easy, but 49ers at 5-7, despite what they did to Chicago, that is not the best 49ers team. They're banged up. Then the Rams go at the Jets, host the Cardinals before that game, at home to the Seahawks. So slightly friendlier schedule, but really exciting that the Seahawks they have that game advantage, and they have an opportunity, Griff, next Sunday night to prove that they are real and announce themselves to the whole NFL when they take on the 4-loss Green Bay Packers. And if they win that, wow. Surely Lumen Field will be full of Seahawks fans and rocking in the Seahawks fashion rather than selling out to cheeseheads.
Yeah, for sure. And those two, the Vikings and Packers games will be, I mean, those games in and of themselves would be huge indicators of like how good are the Seahawks actually. Because I think right now they're the two of the three teams in the NFC that you can unequivocally say on paper are better than the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So obviously playing someone that you assume is better than you is a great measuring stick. If you beat them, then that redefines that preconceived notion, right? You have to revise it. So that will be quite interesting.
Right, and both those teams from the NFC North that are on the Seattle's upcoming games, they feel more balanced than the Seahawks, I think, in a way, in terms of offense, defense. They feel like they play more complementary football. That being said, the Seahawks have won 4 games in a row. This game, they didn't have any special teams mess-ups. Michael Dixon punted fine, even though he had that back concern. And the new returner, Darden, he looked like he'd fumbled but didn't. So it all came good. And also, Griff, you mentioned crescendoing. And in some ways, was this the offense turning a corner? Because if you look at the EPA per play, they had a 73rd percentile EPA per play. Their success rate was 74th percentile. Their rushing was 77th percentile. Their passing was 69th percentile. It's a lot of green on the running backs don't matter box score. The raw stats are Geno Smith, 233 passing yards, 0 interceptions, 1 touchdown. And the real headline is Zach Charbonnet rushing 134 yards on 22 carries, which is 6.1 yards per carry average, including 2 rushing touchdowns, one of which was a glorious 51-yard scamper into the end zone. McIntosh also had 5.4 yards per carry, and this was without, of course, Ken Walker. So, yeah, is this what the offense needs to do? How convinced are you that this is real? I guess what doesn't help this is in the second half they only scored 2 field goals, and they had some real quick 2 3-and-outs and 1 4-and-out.
Yeah. And then the penalties didn't help them in the second half either, right?
No, they did false starts and stuff, and then we'll obviously talk about the defense, how exciting that is, but 2 of the Seahawks touchdown drives came off Kyler Murray interceptions, which obviously boosted the Seahawks field position.
Right. Yeah, so it was a really, I feel like trying to answer the question of like, what is real? What is real is the execution. Like that much is real. I mean, the offensive line, they played really probably their best game of the season, run and pass. And Laumea looks like he belongs. There's going to be some funky moments, but he really looks like he belongs. Abraham Lucas seems like he continues to ease back into it. He looked a little bit like he did the first 2-3 months of his rookie season. So that right there is huge. I'm really excited to watch Oluwatimi super critically and see if he looks like there's something like real there, like for real, like can he be the guy? Because if that's true, then you're going into the offseason only really thinking about left guard, and that could be an exciting thought, you know.
And he was going up against quite a big nose tackle in Roy Lopez, right? Who did get hurt in the game, but was late on. Like, that was not. Well, maybe that sort of matchup suits him better than the guys who gap shoot and play more like 2-eye rather than on a shade or head up on the center. But that seemed like a tough matchup on paper, which he handled well, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess, Griff, where I'm going with this is, like, I was quite excited that they were running the ball well in the first half, and I tweeted, the best half of Seahawks offense running the ball and balanced attack sees the best half of Seahawks offense. I hope they can continue this and stay ahead of adjustments in the second half. And what I saw in that first half, Griff, was they were running from the gun and under center. They were mixing in gap and zone concepts. They were running inside and outside. There were play fakes. I think there was one play fake that wasn't just what we spoke about in the film episode where they just fake it to the weak side wide in a way that they never run the football. So, but I may have imagined that. But anyway, I was excited at the time. And I thought they started the game in an intelligent way that really worked and caught the Cardinals off balance, in that they came out from the shotgun with quick game and passing. Cardinals seemed kind of surprised by that. And of course, this is anecdotal and we'll look over the tape. But the Cardinals seemed taken aback by that. And then the gun run started hitting. And that kind of, along with the Seahawks defense getting those picks, it kind of put the game out of reach fairly early. And then how much of the offense struggling in the second half was cat and mouse stuff. I think there was a bit of, certainly the last drive, you know, they're chewing the clock, but maybe a tiny bit of trying to run a bit more. But I can't escape the feeling that the reason the run game did so well this game, and this is something you've pointed out to me too, is their gap stuff is primed for how the Cardinals run their defensive front. So great stuff to call. But at the same time, in that second half, Arizona did adjust.
Mm-hmm.
They started pressuring more in a way designed to mitigate the weakness of that front. And the Seahawks didn't really have the wrinkle off that. And I think also about a play action, Griff, which would be a wrinkle off that. And Geno missed Noah Fant on the high corner type route off a clever design, which looked like their two-back kind of gun gap run game. That's a wordy sentence. But other than that, the play action was still the same wide fake weak, which they don't run off of.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of checking the ball down, which we have questions on. Yes, the Cardinals do play a lot of zone, but also the linebackers were not conflicted by Seattle's play action game again. And so I feel in the second half, actually, it was more a case of Grubb getting out adjusted and kind of what we've seen again of reverting to type a bit, in that back came more pass and less of the good from the first half. But I'm also, this is very much a reaction, and I could be off. And also there were penalties and negative plays which killed them too, which weren't necessarily a Grubb deal either. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I've said a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, good stuff.
Is that take fair?
Well, I think it's all fair, and I agree with you. So I think the biggest takeaway is the run game variety out of shotgun, like you said, attacking their fronts and stuff, specifically the C gap. A lot of the weak side gap scheme runs, a lot of counter. Maybe there's some bash in there. I think even split zone, which was good. Split zone split zone to the strong side, because that's how split zone works. But opening up that backside C gap, right? Because the tight end is
in the backside C,
right?
Yeah.
So even though it's the run direction's in the direction of the strong side, you're really attacking the weak side of the front. Mm-hmm. So that was really great. To your point though about the second half adjustments, so on the week, they were the worst offense in the second half this week of 22 teams anyway. So barring
let's go, great stat.
Yeah, so you nailed that, and it definitely felt like they're not moving the ball again. Penalties are part of that. In the first half, though, this week, they were the fourth best offense. So clearly, like, that stuff worked, what Grubb wanted to open up with. But, the same tendency issues are still there, especially in under center, and then the drop back passing game out of empty. but they executed in spite of it, which is the exciting part. Again, the Cardinals are not very talented. They've always been the little engine that could this year. And when it comes to, if you catch them in a call, like, they don't have the talent to play through it. But what that then implies that the Seahawks do have talent advantage. And it's good to see that actually, manifest. So, but under center, like you said, there might have been one play action where they play action to the strong side, but all the other actions were to the weak side, and all the ones that were, the linebackers did not bite. I was looking for that specifically off the broadcast. They did not bite, and all 3 attempts were dump offs or a screen. Mm-hmm. And they were successful because that's them punishing the linebackers for, sussing out the run action and realizing that it is play action. So that is the natural counter off of that. But I still think that they're not able to get downfield out of under center because they're still tipping their plays. And it's just wild to me that you would spend all this time in shotgun knowing all this run variation and you refuse to do it out of under center. And so it's like, if you don't want to coach the protection scheme for strong side play actions, that's fine. But if you're going to continue to run fake to the weak side, then why not have under center runs to at least match with the play fake? That there was late in the game one under center counter run to the weak side, which is fine. But I do, like, they've run a little bit of weak side zone this year. It was more so the first month of the season. I don't understand why that goes away. Even if you're bad at it, who cares? You're making them honor it so that your play actions work, and you're going to need that to keep pace with Green Bay and Minnesota. You're going to need that to do anything in the playoffs if they get there. And even though we talk about, the O-line, yes, that's true. But you're still not, you were never going to be as good as you could have been this year if you keep tipping your entire under center package. It's frustrating. But they still, when it was time to block, though, they still blocked people. I don't think they're going to block the Vikings front the same way, though.
No, and that's important to mention, the talent discrepancy. This is a very poor Arizona defense. At the same time, and it leads into a criticism, but it was nice to see the return of the slot motioning in from a spread look and being part of the pass protection scheme, a way of getting into 7-man pass pro that we saw be successful against the Patriots in out of empty, 6-man pass pro, but kind of disappeared since that point. It's the first time we've seen that layer of pass pro for a while. So on the one hand, that worked nicely. I don't know how often Geno Smith was sacked here. Let me find that out. 0 sacks on the day for the Cardinals. On the other hand, why is it taking so long for them to sprinkle that in? 1 or 2 times a game. That's a nice thing to have. And it was also great to see Geno Smith check into that on that 3rd down conversion where he rifled a dig when in cut into DK Metcalf out of a gun spread formation initially, where I believe it was Noah Fant motioned in to be part of the pass pro. So, yeah, I think, again, to me, it feels Grubb's making progress and McDonald's really enthusiastic after the game. I think the raw numbers tell and just winning, they tell a better story than if you go back and look at the tape. We haven't looked at the tape either, and so I'm anxious to do that. At the same time, I'm still concerned about this offense when they face, the Packers on Sunday Night Football, or this is a team who's very close to making the playoffs now, a playoff team. It's, there's still the tendency things, and there's other stuff going on. But anyway, a step in the right direction, I think, is fair to say, but I don't know how large a step it is. And it'll be an interesting game to look back on as they head into this last stretch of the season. All right, Griff. So this defense, actually, is there anything on the offense you want to touch on? Anything more? Tyler Lockett, uncharacteristic, having I don't know if it was a drop. Was it a drop? It was the type of hole shot he usually catches, perfectly placed from Geno.
It was just a tough catch.
It says a lot about his skill that you almost expect him to make it.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, his age is definitely showing this year, but I don't think that is an example of it.
No,
I think that was just happenstance.
JSN again, the Seahawks leading receiver with 5 catches for 82 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. He also was involved on reverses. There was one cursed reverse, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But the other one, it shows that they're thinking of him in that sense.
Yeah. Look, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'd finished. Good
All right.
timing.
Well, all right. So
Smooth.
I jumped the gun there, but look, DK is still getting back from his like injury, right? He's probably not 100%.
Well, and he's listed on the injury report with shoulder stuff. Like he's clearly just banged out, and he took some whacks today as well.
He's beat up. Look, but I'm not going to say that JSN is like, that's a variable. I'm not going to say JSN is the best receiver on the team. Okay. But I am going to say that I think he is becoming and might be Gino's favorite to throw to. That doesn't mean he's better or more valuable, but I think, and that doesn't mean Gino thinks JSN's better than, I just think stylistically, those guys speak each other's language more than any of the other receivers on the team. And the best types of receivers in Gino's career prior to Seattle have been closer to the JSN type of player. So, Tavon Austin and Robert Woods at West Virginia, and then Curley in New York. Mm-hmm. He threw to tight ends in New York. I mean, the guys that eat over the middle and win at the intermediate, breaking in, breaking out.
That play where Gino so they were in quads, empty quads. He opens to DK, checking if DK's doubled. DK's doubled, so he comes back to the middle and just rifles it in on like a drive concept to the deeper in cut of JSN over the middle. Mm-hmm. That's a real good example of what you're talking about there, Griff.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I really wonder what year 3 JSN stats will look like given that.
Yeah. I should say also Charbonnet had 7 catches for 59 yards. Part of that was the ball being checked down, of course, but he looked
sorry to interrupt you. On my bad. I said Robert Woods. I didn't mean Robert Woods. Who was the other guy? Stetson something or Bailey?
Stetson Bailey, right?
Yeah, it was Stetson.
Or are they two different people?
Am I combining people that don't exist? No, it was Stetson Bailey. Yeah. Because he was a Ram for a second. That's why I don't know why I thought. Anyway,
that's okay, Griff. I'm sure chat was going to pull you up on that, but Charbonnet becoming a guy out of the backfield too, and McDonald wasn't certain post game if Ken Walker's going to be able to play next week, which that would be a significant loss in some ways. In others, I'd like to see Charbonnet maybe in a package with him, like a pony package. I know they've put the two of them on the field at times already, but it'd be interesting to see how far they could take that in some ways.
Yeah. The split gun stuff is interesting too.
Right, which blossomed, I guess, in this game. Charbonnet, though, I think the line benefited from a guy having stopped some of the first level penetration that was killing the run game. The line really benefited from Charbonnet's more kind of certain running style. I'm sure Walker would have done good things today as well. I'm not it's not an indictment of him, but Charbonnet had a great game. And he got a game ball, as did the offensive line. So, I mean, Grubb, after that first play drift in the box, he was especially pumped. Like, Charles Davis spent a long time over the fist bump, which was vigorous. A vigorous fist bump. I think he obviously everyone knows he's under pressure. He'll have heard things. It's impossible not to, right? Mm-hmm. He's clearly coaching for his, I don't know. He's coaching hard. He's trying his best. So
yeah, you're right about that.
Right. Anything else on the offense?
Trying to think.
Well, we've got some questions. So, was Grubb's play calling much different than the past 3 weeks? Did he build on anything? It seemed like Laumea was pulling a lot.
Well, it's like we talked about, right? The gun runs were I mean, they didn't call any gun runs they haven't called before. They just did more of it. Mm-hmm. And they were really intentional about attacking scheme weakness.
Yeah. Which is good, right? Because at times that hasn't shown up in previous games.
Right, definitely.
And Laumea pulling a lot.
Go ahead.
Laumea pulling a lot is him getting up to speed as well with the offense. Like, there wasn't a play where he should have down blocked and pulled instead and let a tackle for loss happen. He was more certain there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like seeing some. Well, I think it was only one, but the gun play action to Fant, even though Gino missed them, that was a good process because it worked. I mean, the linebackers, they bit, so it was off of a run action that they actually run with, as opposed to not.
It was, and out of the split gun look, right, which had been effective for them. But as Shams asked, did their run and play action game plan show any more variety or break the tendencies you have been noticing? Yes, but the play action stuff not enough, and certainly not enough breaking of the tendency. But I get that Shams is why it is a step in the right direction, because they're doing it in a way, but I still think you could be hypercritical about like the lack of all of those things, particularly the play action game plan. Often, especially from under center, being fake weak, often wide weak in a way that they have not run the ball from. So and the results are clear just from the lack of linebackers being influenced, and then how often that football gets checked down or doesn't even get thrown.
Agreed.
Monjombo, can't believe Geno Smith threw for over 200 yards. Felt like most passes past the line of scrimmage were dropped.
I mean, Geno had two misses, the one to Fant, the one to Brown in the end zone.
Yeah, which
Tyler
had
had
a touchdown against Man, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then Tyler had the tough catch one that we talked about. DK had one where it was knocked loose. Again, that's catchable, not a drop, but it's like a tough catch that you'd hope he'd make. I can't think. Were there any more like legit drops? I can't.
I don't know what Monjombo. I don't see it. I don't remember it like you do. But I have a bad memory.
I mean, he didn't throw over very many yards. He threw for like 230 something. It was really the run game that carried them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's play action last year was always a big percentage of their production, and it's just not. Like even this game, they had what, 4 or 5 play action dropbacks, and I mean, I think they converted 3 first downs on them, but it was the dump offs, and like that's great. I'm not saying that isn't good. That's good for your EPA and everything, but generally it's produced more volume because it's been better and more of it in the past. Like this might have been their best game off of play action all year if you just look at on a rate basis, and they didn't even they only got the ball past 12 yards one time. Right. I think so.
We also had AC asking, is Lamere doing enough to be the starter next season? It's definitely been impressive these first 2 weeks. You know they'll add someone to compete with him for the job.
Probably.
And they'll also expect more from Christian Haynes as well.
Definitely. It's probably enough to be like named starter to start the camp.
And then what I'd also say, Griff, is next week, Kenny Clark. I know Kenny Clark might have been having a down period. He actually might be playing well right now, but he was having a down period in terms of like raw production, but like at his best, you know, a very good 3 technique. So that's going to be a tougher test against the Packers, and particularly how they play just stylistically as well. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, right now it's great stuff, isn't it? And then finally on the offense, were the high number of checkdowns due to low receiver separation again? Or is that just a product of getting a big lead early and playing slow? We kind of touched on that. I think it is probably that, but obviously when you see the tape. And their style of defense is more prone to playing, you know, too deep and sinking under stuff and getting stretched out a bit. Okay. Sure. So how about this defense? Because as Ben points out, the Seahawks are now 9th defensively in EPA per play. I believe they're first in points allowed since the Ernest Jones trade, or maybe since after the Bills game.
Yeah.
It was a stat I held. Brian in the chat good stat here. That's the 9th time this season the Seahawks have held the other team to 21 points or less, which you'd think that would be good enough to win in the NFL. Driff, where do you want to take us with the defense? Because this is a 2-pick performance. They sacked Kyler Murray twice. They played some really good stuff. They honestly made, particularly in that first half where the Cardinals were held 10 points, but in the second half they held them to 8 points. Just the whole game, it felt very comfortable for the defense again. And very much to me, like some of the stuff they gave up was either allowed, or the stuff they nearly gave up was almost, if anything, and it's not a positive thing, but it speaks to their dominance, a concentration lapse, or a mistake from trying to make a play which maybe wasn't there, which that should be correctable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, statistically, their defensive success was found in the interceptions and then third down pass defense.
Yeah,
that was where they made their hay. So being able to create negative plays on early downs, I thought the Cardinals actually had some success throwing the ball outside of the interceptions. Like their structure was, I think Petzing had a good plan, and I'll be very curious to see
that
where and why. It seemed like McBride just won his one-on-ones. That's probably what it was.
McBride definitely won his one-on-ones, although he did end up with 7 catches for 70 yards. Because there was a point in time where they flashed up the graphic on screen and he had 1 catch, which I think was probably like halfway through. So he definitely heated up. There was also some good stuff from Petzing of like running that little wheel route out the backfield and then running a shallow route to that side, and so it runs off the weak side like quarter flat player or cover 3 player, and the Seahawks take back rules weren't there, and it gets hit so fast that it's cleared out to the sideline in space, right? I feel like that'd be interesting to watch back on the tape.
Mm-hmm. The run defense was pretty concerning.
Well, I hear what you're saying there, and I want to know why you find that concerning, but for me, it felt like, to start with, were very solid stopping the run. Then the picks happen, then they're playing with a score, and I felt, they're running more too high, they're kind of getting after certain things, and they're just giving up the run almost consciously, where they could stop it a bit more, but they kind of didn't. But I don't know, why do you find it very concerning? Like, the raw numbers are James Conner, 18 carries, 90 yards, a long of 23. Trey Benson had 2 for 15. And EPA per play wise, the Cardinals' rush was 62nd percentile with a 71st percentile success rate. So I guess that's not great. But yeah, what concerned you about the run D?
It just seemed like they were getting folded. Like I don't worry too much about the third down rushing, whatever. It's kind of variance. But the early down stuff,
72nd percentile on early downs. 61st percentile.
Yeah, which isn't abysmal. I guess I'm more taking in like some of those chunky runs were like those ones that kind of like went for like 7 to 12 ish area. They were getting creased. I think they were finding, they were exploiting the bubble essentially. I mean, they were finding the weaknesses in the front, just like Grubb was finding weaknesses in Gannon's front. And I don't think McDonald had a lot of run tools this game. I don't think that was what he was trying to do, which is surprising given how toolsy he was the first Cardinals game. I mean, he put on a clinic the first game. I don't think he felt like he needed to this game. I don't know. I'll be very curious to see if I feel better or worse about it when we watch the tape. Ernest Jones, the pick was cool. I mean, the pick was Ernest Jones' interception. It was one of those plays where if you're just a very consistent spot dropper, you're going to get the ball thrown to you eventually. And that's kind of what happened. Like that was all Kyler screwing up, but that throw is there against a not as good of a linebacker, right? And Jones has been very consistent, knowing where his threats are, how much depth to gain, when to melt, when not.
Yeah, because it's easy. I think it is spot dropping, right? But it's easy to sort of gloss over what you just said, right? That he was cognizant of where his threats were. I think it was 2-by-1 or 3-by-1 formation, but he opened to the strong side because he was the final three defender, I think. So he opened his hips that way. He didn't see that type of threat, which he would need to turn and run with down the hash. He also saw the receivers, and this is something we looked at when stood out from his tape with the Titans. But he's really good at opening his hips to drop into his zone and then turning back to set up with the quarterback, which from the shotgun's harder to do, but how you tend to do it is looking at receivers and the depth of their routes, along with when the QB's foot hits and all that good stuff. But yeah, to then set up, get square up, see the quarterback and break on that throw opposite of where he had opened his hips to and his eyes to, that was stuff which it looks very simple, but again, we've seen what bad spot dropping looks like in Seattle, and that was very good. So he's kind of ticking all the boxes right now. He had another good game against the run, no? Just off the broadcast, obviously.
Yeah, I thought so. What did you?
6 solo tackles.
What did you think of? What did you think of Knight? Tyrese Knight, week 7.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
He's still got a ways to go, doesn't he? I mean, the hits are cool.
He's hitting hard. He had some nice coverage plays. I think he's dialed into that, and I think the type of coverage plays he's making are ones where his eyes are cleanly focused in like a short area, and he's playing tough. So that's great.
I mean, to me,
go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say really quick on the coverage note that I want you to finish your thought. I feel like it's like you said, the stuff in front of him. I don't think he's doing well with the stuff behind him still, and that's what makes you money as a linebacker.
Yeah. So there was a tough robot rep, which is tough, and there's a reason only so many people can do it. There's a reason those linebackers are coveted, at least by some teams, and so that was like I was kind of like, okay, good beater, that's tough, like rookie. I think just the eyes and he does not possess the most burst, right? And then when you combine that with someone whose eyes are kind of, well, the game's certainly not slowed down for him yet. And if your eyes are in the wrong place, he can't really make up for that. And it happens a couple of plays a game. And I felt, again, Arizona kind of targeted him a bit. He does come off the field in dimes, so like the passing down spots. But really, I think the issues for him are where it can be like run or pass. Obviously, that's the hardest thing if teams can conflict him. Obviously, McDonald mixes his calls in, and I think Knight's doing okay. But it's funny, like, it's an obvious point here. Just as Ernest Jones would look worse, but there's been linebackers in Seattle in the past who would be like absolutely scapegoated for every single failing if the D-line, the rest of the defense wasn't playing as well as they are.
Right.
But that's besides the point. And he is learning on the job, and this is invaluable experience for him and for the Seahawks to find out if he can be that starting guy for them, or if they fancy upgrading that position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did you think of Knight?
Yeah, I thought it was just a lot of more of, rookie player. He needs to keep growing, showing some signs, showing some good signs and bad signs. So,
and this is what we're talking about here. I felt the pick at the time was a bit lofty, but we are talking about a day 3 pick still, even if it was in the 4th round. Anyway,
right.
You're yawning. Totally. Let's move on from Tyrese Knight. Let's talk about Kyler's second pick. So the second pick, Kobe Bryant made one heck of a play. McDonald described it as a bust. Interesting. Bryant was in the post.
Oh, so, well, no one was roboting it then. Yeah. I mean, no one was either roboting or matching it, depending on what was it play action? I don't think so. I think it was drop back.
It wasn't a corner?
Or you think it was
a corner route? Or was it an
I thought that was a deep over.
It might have been.
Oh wait, are we talking the touchdown or Kobe Bryant's
No, we're talking the interception, which is why I said interception.
That was sorry, right. That was an over. That was an over route.
Oh, okay. I'm an idiot then.
If it was a bust, I mean, that would be on the weak hook. It was probably on Knight. Knight probably needed that buys for that.
Ah, there you go.
Again,
Anyway,
dude.
great play from
Okay.
Kobe.
On that note, yeah, great play from Kobe. Although that interception wasn't Kyler's fault, the receiver totally screwed him over. If you have a post safety and you're wide open, you bend the route down. You don't keep running a diagonal angle. So Kyler put it where he thought the receiver was going to come down, and he just kept running on his line, which was really stupid. But yeah, Kyler didn't have a great game. On that note, though, Matty, if it was Knight, I think it was. I need to see it again. There's really only been one linebacker on this team that has been consistent all year long at knowing what he needs to do, and that's Ernest Jones. That still makes me think about the linebacker coaching. Because these are things that take no talent. Like, it's one thing if he identified it correctly and just got beat. You can't really do much about that except some, pointers here and there. But to have completely like, no cognizance,
busted it, right?
There, like this,
like no presence, to the point that I'm thinking that Kobe was in a deep quarter because there was no presence underneath that.
Yeah. So I don't know about Olivedati, man. I'm not trying to call out an individual coach. I mean, maybe it has nothing to do with him, but look, we were talking about this ever since preseason. Like, there were errors that the entire linebacking crew made, and the ones that are still not Ernest Jones are still making them to this point in the season. But he's a rookie, so like whatever. But I don't know. Just an observation.
Right. So obviously the defense is really thriving because of how the defensive front is playing. Once more, they forced a hold in a 4th and short situation this time, but short yardage, they're so potent. Like, it must be nearing 5 times that they've done that this year, which is massive because they're high leverage spots, obviously. Who stood out to you on the D-line? Kind of another great game for Leonard Williams. Boye Mafe good.
Mafe, Hall, and Leo were the big guys. I'm sure Reed and Murphy were fine. But, I'm
Reed
curious.
had 2 pass deflections.
Yeah, true.
Because Kyler's short.
I am curious to see if we identify a player or players as a cause for some of the run gains, or some of the gashes, or if it was just scheme.
If they were like playing outside of their stuff, trying to do too much or rush the passer a bit too much, or
was it the primary secondary lack of chemistry between the first and second level again? Like, we won't know till we rewatch it, but I wonder.
Right.
So
right. Wow. That's an interesting point from Axel. Ernest Jones said they have like 5 guys that coach linebackers. He and Knight get an earful when they mess up. Maybe too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe for a rookie like Knight as well. Like, he might just need a bit more honing. We obviously don't know. But
look, the Michigan defense the past couple of years, all their linebackers are so well coached. And you know who's coaching them most of the time? The Seahawks' current outside linebacker coach, Chris Partridge. I hope they move him to inside linebacker next year.
Was he?
Yeah, wasn't he?
I don't think so. I could be way off there.
Partridge, Wikipedia.
He coached safeties at Ole Miss.
He was the linebackers coach last year for Michigan, and we liked Barrett and Colson.
And the year before, what was he?
Co-defensive coordinator and safeties at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And then Michigan safeties and special teams, and then he also coached the linebackers in 2016.
So that's why his linebackers can cover, because he's a DB guy.
Very good point. Coaching the details. So how did he not get him to coach linebackers here then? How did that work out? How did that happen?
Well, you know how Chris Partridge left Michigan, right?
No. Under what circumstances?
Oh, you should probably, it's on the Wikipedia, I think. But imagine how the jobs were. He was what?
Oh, who cares? Okay, he was fired because of the sign stealing. Who cares?
Yeah, but I don't know.
We're not going to give you linebackers because.
Well, what's more important? Fundamentally, outside backer play in this system or inside backer play?
Inside linebacker play.
You think?
Yeah.
I think at its very essence, if you can't set the edge in this defense and you can't get edge rush, you're in more problems.
Yeah,
But
but dude, you set the edge with guys that can play football. Like you don't.
you just get them.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
acquire.
you're right. You're
I mean,
right.
they're stacked at edge. Anyone could be coaching the edges right now. It probably wouldn't matter too much. But the inside
Okay.
linebackers, like
What
that's
if?
the
What
merchandise.
if? Now this is like completely out of pocket because I don't think they deserve this. But what if Aaron Curry was the outside backers coach this year?
Probably would be fine. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but Aaron Curry, come on the podcast.
Yeah, please come on the pod. I watched your clinic on Crash 9 technique. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
Right, okay. Who else? Who else stands out? Chat, any questions? We've got no questions. Disappointing. Yeah, so Griff, like, has your opinion of the defense changed now that they've done this 4 weeks in a row almost?
Yeah, I mean, this is their new. I mean, they're firmly in this moment, firmly a top 10 defense. So I don't know if they're a top 5 defense. I don't know if they're that good because they haven't faced an elite offense. Well, the Rams kind of have that capability, and like the Rams, they still threw all over them, but the run defense was still really good that game. I think that they'll stop the Vikings and the Packers from like destroying them, but I don't predict that we'll come away from that game thinking like we'll be feeling super good about the defense. It's all relative and expectations.
I will be, if they are good against those two teams defensively, I will be saying that I'd be disappointed if they don't win a playoff game.
Agreed. Because if you can throttle up those offenses,
That's
can win
crazy.
a playoff game. You might win too.
But just the balance of those offenses, like, I mean, this game, we mentioned it, but I mean, I feel they did a good job early stopping the run. I know you haven't disagreed with that, but where they really cook still is still those passing down, third down, getting ahead, and then being able to play. Now, they're cooking just in general, but that's their real, like, win a playoff game type trait. If they're able to show they can do it against, like, more balanced teams and stylistically some very tough matchups, that'll be intriguing. Griff, what did you think of the lob from Kyler where Rick Woolen very subtly, while kind of beat, just tackled the receiver, but then fell down in a very clever way? Was that PI? Yeah, was that PI?
I like the no call.
Did you?
But if that was so, my opinion on that is, if that happened at the 20 or the 30, they would have called it. But because it happened in the end zone, they didn't call it.
Right.
What do you think Kyler needs to not be in a spread focused offense? Do you think he actually needs to be in a run heavy under center offense?
But that's what Petzing was supposed to be kind of doing.
He's kind of running a better version of the Cliff offense, isn't he?
The problem with being in the problem also of being under center is you can't, well, one, you can't see as well, and then two, you can't do your like read option stuff and your QB movement stuff as well. I just feel like you can, but obviously different times.
Look, I'm Arthur Smith pilled, but I feel like Arthur Smith would figure it out with Kyler, like unlock him for real.
Okay. Maybe.
Or Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson would too.
Jason Larson, did Nwosu get on the field? Yeah, I think as been in the chat, people have said the last snap and he got a tackle, so good for him.
Yeah.
Tough to get on the field right now. I know Draymond Jones hurt his hand, and that made me think, or it looked like he'd hurt his hand. And that made me think, could be Nwosu's time, but then Jones seemed fine. Brandon, let's relax. Well, I didn't see that. Did you see this?
Maddie, you aren't answering me about Woolen standing out of bounds with the Cardinals receiver while he stares at Murray running for the first down. Wild. Although, yeah, Maddie, why aren't you answering Brandon?
Oh yeah, I see it now. Brandon, just chill. What do you want me to answer about that? I can't answer that. Only Reek Willen can answer that. What's the solution on offense to a declining Lockett? Says Mookie. Editor of field goals. Check out field goals, which you will have done before. I don't. Lockett declining is an interesting topic. Like production wise, absolutely. But if you look at he reminds me a bit like Bobo last year. You'd watch the tape and the ball could have gone to Bobo a lot of the times. Like he's always open. Yeah. He's running clean routes. Like it just doesn't go there. I think the usage of Lockett and how it's just completely phased out, it speaks to what we've always spoke about and we talked about a lot last season when it came to JSN, in that you have these two target studs in Lockett and Metcalf. The ball can only go to so many people and there's only so many snaps and there's only so many passing plays, etc., etc. So there's part of that with Lockett. And that's not a decline. That's just JSN's emerged in that sense. But I think also the offense isn't utilizing Lockett as well as they could, and in a similar way to how they kind of get stuck on plays or stuck in looks and lack kind of compliments off that look. They're not maximizing Lockett in a way that they could. That's my. I don't know if you see the same thing, Griff. I don't think he's declined. Like he was never the fastest last season either. Like I don't think it's a physical decline.
I think they need to focus more isolation with him. I want to see him running more hinges and more comebacks and back shoulder, back hip.
He's clean at that.
He's still really good at it. His tape, honestly, I don't think he's diminished at that. I want to see more of it. I feel like he's the solution to some of the off quarters, off cover 3 they get on the perimeter. They keep trying to work DK there, and he can do that. But I'd rather Tyler be the one to punish them for playing off.
Right. An obvious point, but if DK's getting doubled or someone's clouding him, and you want JSN in the slot, Lockett could probably run the ISO route.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
He's clearly the third best option, but I don't think they're getting everything out of him. Also, he can be part of the solution to the O-line. That's the other thing.
Because an ISO route happens fast?
Just in general, he can be the release valve. Yeah, I mean, some of those are kind of rhythm throws, right?
Yeah.
Like three,
what is it? Rush, the inventor of Halo. What's he called? The high school coach, writes good books. Halo high school coach. Football.
Oh, what is open?
Yeah, Drew. Is it Drew?
What's that guy's name?
Anyway, he has rush, rhythm, and read, right? That's
Probably.
his 3 types of throw. And the rhythm throws in the offense, which is kind of your singles and doubles, right, Griff? The rhythm throws aren't still being tapped into much, and that's where Lockett can help.
Dub Maddox,
that's right. Okay. What do we want to do now? I know what we want to do. Chat, there's 180 of you in here, which is amazing. Love it. Like the video, please. We only have 35 likes. Tell a friend about the Seattle Overload podcast. Follow Griffin at CMikeSpinMove. Follow me at Matty F. Brown. How do we wrap this up?
Maddie, this is a family show.
With the Seahawks thing.
I don't know. I mean, go Hawks.
No, not like that. Like what about like a profound thing? Like Well, answer the question, Griff. What's their record at the end of the season? Now you've seen this. They're 8-5. They've got to play the Packers and the Vikings. The other factor to this is some of these teams have extra rest.
Look. I'm terrified of Sean McVay.
in week 18.
Yeah.
The Bears look bad. That's like a gimme, although it is in
So
Chicago and it will probably snow like after
Bears are a game.
Christmas.
Also, their defense still has a heartbeat. I know that's hard to believe, but they have a good game in them still. But they beat the Bears. I'm still convinced they beat the Packers. They lose to the Vikings.
They beat the Packers?
They match up better with Green Bay than Minnesota.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Maybe we can delve into that in the
I think
in
they
the preview.
finish. My heart says 11-6. My head says 10-7. I think they might lose to the Rams week 18. I think McVay puts together a really
His
good game.
magnum opus.
Honestly, yeah. Look, McVay is the one. He's the one with the Super Bowl. He's the only one. We talk about how influential Shanahan and McVay are, and all of the people they've seeded. He's the only one from that group to win a Super Bowl. You know, I mean, he's done it before.
It's his balance.
It's his balance. He gets balanced really well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And he's adaptable too, season to season. I mean,
And
so
he's the one who caused Pete the most issues out of all of them.
Yeah. I mean, he was the one that caused McDonald the most issues last year.
Yep.
And they were at relatively-ish full strength last year. They weren't at full strength in the first game, even though they won. I don't know. I'm just afraid of Sean McVay. But I know this, though. The Seahawks will be at their very best that game, too. So that will be very that'll be very interesting.
Did you like how McDonald was playing like off coverage on that last drive and very soft? And then on the last play, he blitzed Kyler and got an unblocked rush right in his face and got the sack. I like that. That was cool.
Me too.
Nice.
Me
cool.
too.
So you didn't answer the question. Record-wise, you think 11-6 or 10-7?
I'm gonna. All right. I'll go. I don't know. I gotta flip
The world
a coin.
is watching. You're gonna flip a coin?
I don't have a coin.
I could flip a coin for you.
All right. So heads is 11-6. Tails is 10-7.
Okay. What's on the head?
I just told you.
No, but what's on the head of your coin?
Oh, I don't know. What what is it? The queen over there?
No. That's very insensitive.
The king?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's on the tails?
I don't
Is it
know.
buffalo? I remember once I got a buffalo. Is it a buffalo dime? A buffalo nickel?
We have like an eagle on the tails, and then like George Washington or
I don't think you have. Chat, do you think Griff has a coin here?
I don't have a coin. You got to use the coin.
I don't have the coin.
Oh,
Oh, I do. Hold on.
Hold on. I'm gonna go grab a coin. I'll be right back.
This is a good one, chat. Again, once more, the monarchy's taken over. And you see this? Oh god, it's not focusing. Look at that. That's a quid. Brandon, he doesn't know though. That's the thing. He doesn't know. That's our secret.
All right. What do I not know? Okay, so
Don't worry about that.
I got a dime.
Monjumbo I have. It's a great film. One of my favorite films.
So on the dime, we got FDR in the heads, and then the tails is a torch.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's FDR, 11-6. If it's the torch, 10-7.
My money's on FDR.
Okay, flipping. It's FDR.
Yes.
11-6. That's what it is. So I'm guessing
Get in
11-6.
Imagine though if they lose to the Rams and the Rams win out, and that's it. They beat the Vikings and the Packers. That'd be shambolic.
That would be wild.
Would they play each other again?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm saying they win every single game until week 18, but so do the Rams, and then the Rams beat them.
So, Matty, you lied to me about what's on the quiz.
No, I didn't. This is just one from 2017 when she was still with us. As I said, that was very insensitive. Right, and on that note, how many likes have we got now?
Not enough.
3? 35? Let's refresh this. 64. That is not good enough. Pathetic. Or pathetic. I can't talk tonight. I'm very tired. What?
I said, come on, chat.
Yeah, come on, chat. Like the video. Okay. Are we ready to bugger off?
Yeah, hit it.
Right.
Get out of here. Watch
chat. Love you. Thanks everyone for coming into the chat. And watch Children of Men.